Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Tech Talk. My name is Jonathan, and today we're going to be going over the topic of Samsung, their devices, and just the general status of Samsung as a company, their future, and what they got going for it. Looking forward to chatting about it. Before I continue on to the topic of Samsung, I just want to say thank you guys for your feedback on the earlier videos. One of the things that people did point out was that they enjoyed the videos, but the audio was a little bit on the lower quality side. And so I went and got me a new microphone here, as you can see. And so I hope you're hearing a much higher quality audio version of my voice now. And so looking forward to using this for future episodes. And very soon also I'll be improving my video content capture as well. So thank you for that. But let's get back to Samsung. So Samsung has recently released their devices, the Samsung Galaxy Fold 7 and the Samsung Galaxy Flip 7 and the Samsung Galaxy Flip 7 FE. And so recently that was all released, and the feedback has been good from what I've seen. I got to actually sample and demo a few of those devices actually recently when I went to Best Buy. And I am pretty amazed at how small and thin those devices are. They're extremely thin, extremely small. Really impressed by how much hardware they were able to compress and put in those devices. It's really amazing how far we come in the past decade or so with devices. You know, they used to be thick and large, and now we're going to tiny and very, very small. And so it's really cool to see those technologies come to play. So yeah, I have a desire to get one of those. Right now, I don't need it. I've been really satisfied, with my Google 9 Pro Fold device, and so I'm going to stick with that for the time being. But I definitely am looking forward to testing out those devices in the future when given the opportunity. Now, in the world of foldables, I feel there's a lot more excitement going on than right now in the world of brick phones, as I call them. Just a slab of glass with a touchscreen capability and just smart features and everything. So, and this goes back to actually my thoughts on both Google and Apple for that matter. These devices, they're all samey. Again, just like Apple and Google, Samsung has produced a great set of smartphone devices, but they are not really innovating anymore either. They're just iterating on their previous generation devices. So, for example, these three models that they have the S25, S25 Plus, and the S25 Ultra. Great devices, but I feel like if I've held an S23 or S22, even going all the way back to I would say the S21 in particular, it feels like I've already held that before multiple times, just different iterative versions of the same device. And so it really ties back to the theme that have been going over the past few videos, is that we're not really seeing a lot of innovation among these companies because they've settled. It's gotten so easy for them to be able to just make new versions. I guess they know that people will buy them. That's the reality of the world we live in right now. People want their stuff and they love the newest and latest things, and they'll get it. And I kind of compare this in a way to the car industry, because you have every year new versions of the same cars coming out, some iterative changes. Sometimes they do a little bit of a change, but it just feels that's kind of what the the vibe I would say we're getting right now in the smartphone industry when it comes to just your standard slab phones. It's just iterative. It's just slight improvements here and there, a little bit of change here and there. And it's interesting. It feels like certain features that they bring back that had been gone for a while are now being praised as exciting and new and refreshing, when it's like we had those devices or those features in the past. And so it's so interesting that some of those old features are being praised as new features again. So what goes around comes around. And so I think this again speaks to the same status that Samsung is having as Google and Apple. We just need to see more innovation. And while I will say the foldable devices is a step forward in that innovation with their technologies, even those have become very iterative as well, just like the Google 10 Pixel Pro Fold is against the Google 9 Pixel Pro Fold. It's the same thing with all the Samsung Galaxy Fold devices. I would say probably after the fourth generation Fold devices, a lot of them's gotten really samey. They are just slight iterations, some slight adjustments to the camera, but the same interfaces, the same experience. And actually, there was a little bit of a downgrade this generation. So the Fold 7s, the big folding device that Samsung produced, they actually took away a feature. It took away the feature to use the S Pen that is featured in the S25 Ultra devices. You can't use that on the Samsung Fold device anymore with this generation. And so a lot of people have been upset about that. Now, Samsung said it's because less than 1% of users actually use the device. But I feel that when you're building a product that is meant to be the elite, the most technologically incredible device, you put everything but the kitchen sink in that device and you keep it in there, whether it's being used or not, because that's the point of that device, is to be the most elite, most premium product out of everything that's in your lineup. Especially when the cost factor comes into play, because we're talking items that are nearly 2200 for the higher memory models, 1900 for the lowest memory, and that's before taxes. I mean, and that's without any trade-in promotions. Sometimes that helps, but even then, it's a very expensive device. So you want to get what you're paying for. And so to me, that's a little bit of a downgrade, I would say, to take a device and remove a certain feature just because a very small percentage of the users use them. People liked using them. There's a number of people that would use them, and I would say the 1% tends to be the more vocal community when it comes to technology and what they want to see in their devices and feedback that Samsung should consider, because those people will tell their friends, and their friends will tell their friends about it. So it's really disappointing, but so if anything, it feels like we're seeing a regression of innovation because now we're removing features instead of adding more or improving the existing features. So hopefully we'll see something different next year. I don't know. Nowadays it's hard to tell because, again, secretive nature of all these companies makes it really challenging to know what they have behind their doors in regards to the way they're going to do their next generation of devices, as they're now just advertising for what's out now. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and see what happens next. But it also speaks to another aspect of Samsung that I think people forget, is that Samsung used to be the anti iPhone. That's one thing I miss about Samsung. They were the guys that, whenever iPhone came out and removed the headphone jack, for example, they kept the headphone jack, and they even advertised about the fact that they kept the headphone jack connector inside their devices. For a long time, you could expand storage on Samsung devices. You could take an SD card, increase the storage capacity. So no matter what internal storage was built into the phone, you could just increase it however you want to. That has been gone for a long time now as well. And then they used to have an active series of devices. It was called the Galaxy S, whatever number, active. And it was geared towards people that wanted a more rugged, tougher screen, tougher phone for more rugged situations. They ended that line too as well, because against the iPhone, it was much more tough. It could take hits a lot better. It was waterproof, not even water resistant. It was waterproof. And so it had a lot of really good capacity for people that are working in certain dangerous or heavy industries that, is not really conducive for glass phones. And so it's just seeing all those go away and just seeing that Samsung is now mostly copying or mimicking what Apple is doing. It's really disappointing, because there's a saying from a famous Batman movie, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And that's what I feel like we're seeing right now with Samsung, is that they used to be just all about, well, iPhone's doing this, we're going to do the opposite of that. They're doing this, we're going to flip it the other way. And we're not seeing that anymore. And that's so disappointing. It's really sad, because that's what make competition competition, by doing things differently, by doing something that your competitor isn't doing, to make that an attractive proposition for your customers, and even persuade people that might be on the other team, if you will, to switch to that side because of those things that they want but they can't get with that competitor. And so it's really sad. Hopefully we'll see some more of that again in the future. It's just, this industry has really stagnated in many ways, and so I really would love to see a change in the industry. If it requires a new technology to come out that makes smartphones seem obsolete, that would be incredible. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but can you imagine some new technology that just makes smartphones obsolete? That would be incredible. So hopefully we'll see some changes in the coming years, because I don't think that what all these companies, and especially Samsung, but the other ones too, are doing is just sustainable for the long term. There's going to come a time when people are just going to be done with it and they say, I'll keep my phone for 4, 5, 6 years. There's people that will do that. In fact, now that they're supporting their software for 7 years at a time, it gives people even less incentive to want to change and move their device to a different device. So we're going to see what happens. Hopefully, we'll see a change, because I miss the old Samsung. I miss that anti iPhone, those ads they used to have, like whenever the iPhone 10 came out and they had the notch, on the iPhones. And Samsung made fun of those, in the commercials. And, they would have customers with the notches on their head, and everyone's like, what's going on? I have a Samsung. I don't have a notch on mine. So hopefully we'll see some change like that in the future, or maybe a newer, younger company that can bust in there and just make changes and challenge the big guys and everything. So that's my take on Samsung, the devices, and what's going on. I didn't go too much into the Samsung specs, because the devices, again, very samey. Just think of them as last year's model with iterative, smaller, but still, meaningful to some degree improvements. So anyway, thanks for hearing my thoughts on this. Had to go on a little bit of a rant about this, but I just love talking about this stuff. So thanks for hearing me out today. If you'd like to leave a comment discussing what I had to say today, whether you have your thoughts, opinions, whether they agree or disagree, please leave a comment below. I'll be more than happy to have a discussion with you and chat. I love chatting about this stuff, so more than happy to have that conversation. If you could subscribe to my channel and like this video, that would be so greatly appreciated. And then also hit that notification bell so when new videos come out, you'll get notified when they do come out. I love doing this stuff, and it's just something I'm passionate about and I enjoy doing. So thanks for watching these videos. I look forward to continue producing them and creating them for you guys. Hope that you enjoyed the improved audio with this new video upload as well. I look forward to sharing my next content and conversation with you guys. So until then, thanks for coming to my tech talk, and I'll see y'all soon. Thanks again.